Hello fixers, so today we're going after the differentials, or CV axles on this 2006 Subaru Legacy. This is a 34 millimeter, I think, so the big nut. Blast that off, then you can get your cotter can out here on your tie rod end. And once you get the cotter key out, then you can get the 19 millimeter nut that holds the tie rod in, and then you can tap on the side here and get it free. Tap on the side and it should pop out. With the tie rod out of the way, go after the bottom bolt for your lower ball joint, which is a 14 millimeter bolt. Pull that out, and then we're going to pry with a pry bar. Pry right here, if you can get in between those two spaces, and if you can run your pry bar to the other side, to like of the A-arm, you get some more leverage and it'll push down. For the most part, what I'm about to do is a big no-no. You don't do this unless you're going to replace your axle, because you're going to mush your threads. Usually what you do is you put a nut on the end, and you're able to beat on that without messing up the threads. So I got my axle popped out. My new one's in there already. So now if you look at the end of my shaft, I'll have a nut, and it has the new nut on it, and it'll be threaded all the way down to the end so you don't mess up my thread. So I'm going to tap it with a hammer and try to push it in a little bit. As you can see, like I was talking about the nut. And then we're going to tap it a little bit. We're going to push on the axle and take up all the slack inside the U-joints that are inside the CV axle. And we're going to hit it with a soft mallet and trying to get it to jolt itself into the transmission. You'll feel the difference when it actually gets into place, and you'll hear it. It'll make a different noise than when you're hitting it before it gets stuck inside. I like putting anti-seize on my shaft so they'll slide in the hub assembly a lot easier, because it was a pain to get out. And it makes it easier for the next guy. So what you do is you get the axle into place, and we're going to get the nut. We're just going to thread it on a couple threads, and so that I can get my lower ball joint on. So we're going to get a pry bar onto the A-arm, pry down, and try to get it into place so that it lines up like this. So once I get it lined up, then I'm going to tap the side with a hammer to get it lined up, as you can see here. So we're going to tap, and it's going to bring it up a little bit, and then you just want to tap it until it splines up just like that, and then we're going to stick my bolt in there, tighten it down, and then I'm going to press down with the pry bar on my A-arm to make sure it's not going to pop loose while I'm driving down the road. So I'm going to torque down my bottom bolt here. It's a factory spec. And then after that, I'm going to take my pry bar and pry down just like I am here. Make sure I don't have any nothing's going to pop out. So this is the tie rod end. I've lined it up with the cotter key after I've torqued and got it down quite a bit. So then after that, I'm going to torque my axle nut, which is 162 foot-pounds, and put a pry bar in between my hub assembly, and I was able to torque it down by myself. So after it's torqued, you see there's a notch in your axle, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take your nut, and you're supposed to take a chisel and punch that in as a safety measure so that it doesn't rattle loose like I've done here. Alright, so after you do your axles, you want to make sure that you check your gear oil fluid. I did this from the bottom because I didn't realize it was, you can check it from the top, but that's how you check it.
Fixer good.
Be a fixer. Be your own hero.